Hey, what's going on, guys? Sandland is a game that I have no experience with, but being a huge fan of Akira Toriyama's art style, in particular original Dragon Ball, and then obviously this is also going to be quite similar to the art style you might see in like Dragon Quest. Here we have the Sandland Tank 104 model kit in 1/35 scale from Bandai, and it looks really cool. Let's go ahead and check it out for today's video. So of course, as we get into checking out the box and the contents here, because Akira Toriyama-san recently passed away, I just want to say again, a big rest in peace to the master, the man who gave us this beautiful artwork to appreciate. But there you can see the tank in beautiful illustrated detail and some of the characters inside there in the background as well. So that all looks very cool. And you can see it's a pretty thick box here as well on the side of the box, just basically having the same artwork there. On the bottom of the box here features images of the built and painted kit in a lot of detail. All these little details here pointed out for you about the hatch, the flag, the cannon, the tank treads there on the bottom. So a lot of really cool aspects to the kit. It's going to be about 11 centimeters in height, so not a terribly large kit. But as you can see from this image over here, there is a lot of really nice detail inside of the tank there as well, which you might not expect. You might think, okay, it's just basically this outside tank, you know, nothing really too spectacular, but a lot of details on the inside, which is really, really cool. So there you have that. And we also have these character figures, which are also going to be inside there. Those, of course, I would imagine are going to need a considerable amount of painting, especially the inside here as well. So there's obviously going to be a lot of painting required, but to what extent exactly, we'll see once we check out the runners here on the inside. But going on to the top of the box, there's a few more images of the kit as well as stills, and then a look at the base. So the base has this really cool like dust effect, and then also the Sandland logo there. And it looks like down here we've got some sticker decals and waterslide decals included as well. So a really nice comprehensive set here. Here you can see what it's going to look like in full. And then not only that, a couple of cool bits over here. It shows exactly what the kit is going to look like out of the box, completely unpainted. But also here it's letting us know that inside we have a kind of like weathering guide that's going to be included in the instructions as well, which is pretty awesome. So why don't we go ahead and crack open the box and take a look at everything in here. So right off the bat, there's at least some stickers there, stickers for the Sandland logo, some parts of the base there you can see. We'll check out all of the runners here in just a moment. Looks like we have an action base included in there as well, or at least part of an action base. First of all, I want to check out the instruction manual. Yeah, so here we have some information about the tank in Japanese and in English. Again, a couple of anime stills right there. And then down here, some more reference photos, including information about the characters, some more about the tank there. And on the back side, you can see some weathering tips here. And this is actually 0.7, so this is one of the weathering tips that's going to be included. And the great thing about this is we've got some nice photos, everything, all the text is there in Japanese and in English. We even have products used over here, so a really nice comprehensive guide in the manual. This is not something that I would expect as Bandai is going to include in many models, but if we see something like this more often, which is typically what you would see in some other sort of book or magazine publication, more stuff like this in the manuals would be absolutely amazing. So here we have the painting guide down there at the bottom as well, with again some nice reference images. And opening this up, it is going to be black and white on the inside and then color on the back side of this fold out manual. But just going back to kind of the start, we do have the parts list there. And then taking a look at the construction, you can see we have the first weathering point is here at the bottom. So it looks like it's maybe not necessarily only weathering in particular, but our points are there across the bottom, which give us some tips on how to improve the look and the details of the kit. So again, like I said, that's a really, really awesome inclusion to be included here in the manual. Back to our color pages here, we have steps 6 down there at the bottom. Step 7 we saw. There's step 5 as well about adding some weathering detail to the inside. It looks like step 7 there, the one that we actually saw first, is maybe the last of the weathering techniques, but then there is also a little bit here at the end about how to apply waterslide decals also. So a lot of really cool stuff here in the manual. That's really nice. As for those waterslide decals, here is what we have. Just a couple of markings there and like the eyes that are on there. So that's it for the waterslide decals, but that'll be a nice addition to the kit as well. If you're not feeling so comfortable with waterslides, looks like we also have some sticker decals here as well, which would feature the same markings plus a couple other bits here that are just only available as sticker markings. So that's unfortunate that we didn't have these as water slides as well, maybe, but it seems like those are maybe just little missing color apps. So I think the assumption is that if you're going to be using the water slides, then probably you're going to be painting the kit as well, in which case you're probably just painting in these details on your own. But there's a couple of cool like marking bits down there as well. Then we also have this plastic sticker sheet of the Sandland logos. This is in a kind of thicker sheet where it's like a sticker with a thin sheet of clear plastic over the top of it to give it the appearance of like a plastic part. So this will look really nice set on what I'm guessing is going to be the black background plastic part for the Sandland logo. So really, really cool. But this kit continues to impress me with the fact that we have an actual metal rod piece included for the antenna on the top of the tank, which is awesome. So that's really cool. And then getting into the runners, here is that base plate piece. So it's not going to be like a full-on action base, but this is just our standard ACBBA base plate part here in black, and that's going to fit underneath that part right there that you can see, which is going to form the base for our kit. Here is runner A, and some interesting stuff to point out on here. So there's that Sandland logo, and those blue stickers are going to go on that. It's going to be parts for the base, and then like kind of the dust clouds that we see around there. We got a couple of clear parts. Some parts for the character figures are here, and as you can see, like I said, there is going to be some painting required, most definitely, but some nice detail for those character figures. And then included on all of the runners are these little rivet detail parts that you can slice off of the runner label here, and you can glue those onto the kit if you want to add some more rivet details onto there. So this is something taken from like a lot of military model kits, Machine Krieger model kits do that, but it's obviously not something that we normally see on a lot of like Bandai model kits like this. So cool to have that included, and that seems to be on all of the runner markings. Here's runner B with some more parts with some really, really nice detail here in like a dark gunmetal color, purple, pink over here, skin tone color down there. And then runners C1, C2, and D are going to be the bulk of our larger yellow pieces, and some small pieces on there as well, but the bulk of our yellow pieces there for the tank. Runner E here we have two of, and this is going to be some more parts in this dark gunmetal color. And then runner F is some more smaller pieces here in yellow, and runner G is some more smaller pieces here in that gray color. And that's it for the runners. Let's go ahead and check out the kit. All right, so here is the kit all built up here, and as you may notice, with a lot of sanding and everything, because it is prepped for painting, as I figure this is the kind of kit that just really deserves to be painted. But straight out of the box, here's how it's going to look. Obviously, if you use those plastic stickers in there for the Sandland logo on the front, that's also going to look pretty nice. All the rest of the stickers too. As we saw from the unboxing portion of the video, you have a lot of stickers and decals and stuff that you can put on there. Also in the manual, had a lot of really great tips for adding details to this by just using like pencils and panel lining and things like that, just to kind of bring out the details and help to make it look kind of weathered and all that. So there's a lot more that you can do with it, but I figure we might as well just go ahead and paint up the whole thing. So I have everything all assembled now. Everything's actually pretty much all prepped for painting. There wasn't any seam line removal that had to be done except for on these piping parts right here towards the back. There was a seam line on those. But just to go over the kit here in a little bit more detail, here is the base plate here. I'll probably add some more sand and stuff to this to actually make it look a bit more like naturally weathered rather than just like the plastic here. But you have like the plumes of smoke there on the side, and this is just all attached onto just kind of your standard action base plate there. And then for the main kit, the treads don't actually move or anything, but there's some nice detail there on those. Not really too much to see here on the underside. On the back side, some nice detail around here with these support bars there on the sides and on the top. The flag, this is just the actual flag part, just a plastic piece in that little bit softer plastic, so you don't have to worry about bending this so much. Actually, when I put it in the box, I had it bent down like that accidentally, so I just bent it back. But then you do have another piece there for like the connection bit at the bottom, and then that metal rod that we had included for making a flag of your own if you wanted to. I might just change that rather than a flag. I might just have it just to be an antenna. Also, I find that this rod is like a little bit thicker than I might like for something like that, or either, I don't know, maybe I'll use that and then also add an antenna. But usually like an antenna, in this scale, that seems like too big, too thick anyway. But here on the top, the turret can rotate around. You can also adjust the angle of this a little bit up and down there like that. The hatch on the top also opens up. You got some nice detail in there. And we have our three main doors here on the sides. This one on this side does also open up, although there's like not really much like going on this side, whereas on the front you can see our two kind of characters are right inside there, and then on the side here, this one kind of sticking his head out like that. There is another position that you can put this character in where it's inside, and then you can have like all the doors closed up, or you could just like obviously omit it, of course. And then if you did want to have all the doors closed up, you can do that as well. But I think obviously just like for the look of this, it just looks best as we see it there on the box art and in the artwork and everything. Just looks really cool with all the characters out there like that. It might actually be sort of interesting, rather than having this just display like flat on the ground like that, if there was a way to kind of display a sort of like ramping up sort of like that, I think would be pretty cool. But otherwise, I mean, just like fairly simple kit here. You do have a couple of clear parts here for the lamps there in the front, the headlights on the vehicle. And I guess when I say that it's fairly simple, it's actually maybe not that simple, because the way that the kit is constructed actually is pretty cool, because basically you build it in sections, like the bottom section, the side sections, the front, the back, and the top, and it's pretty easy to disassemble. Because if you wanted to like show off the inside, what you built on the inside, so here's the top part, and there's even like a little chair in here for the gunner and the turret, and there's quite a lot of like detail inside there. It's going to be kind of pretty hard to see, but inside the turret there you have a bunch of detail. But with that off, you can kind of see a little bit more down inside, but then it's pretty easy, like I said, to just disassemble this by section. Taking off the front part there, you can see some of that detail inside, and that's just going to look really cool once this is all actually painted up. And again, there's our character figures inside. You can start to get a glimpse of some of the detail in there. Next would be to just remove this entirely from the bottom section, and then we can remove our side part here. Just want to be able to show you guys some more of the detail inside. I mean, obviously you could see from the photos and the manual, and we'll see how that looks like when it's all painted up later. I want to know like what might be a better way to display this so that you can actually see more of the inside. It might be a good idea actually to put like an LED or something inside here to light it up, so that even when it's displayed with the door open like that, you can actually see more of the inside. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to think about that. But even on the inside of these panels here, you can see there's some nice detail kind of molded onto the inside. So there's a lot of detail on the inside that ultimately is not really going to be very visible depending on how you have it displayed. But I mean, it looks really nice. And actually, it might even be a really cool idea to do something like this here in the manual, where you just actually physically cut out parts of it like that, and just to make it look like there's sort of like a cross section almost sort of cut in it, so it would display the inside really nicely there. I don't think that I want to do that with mine, although that would be a pretty cool idea. I did also cut out and save all these parts of the runners, because they have these little molded rivet details that you can just slice off there and add to there. So saved these. Not sure if I'll end up using those. Might use some to add some rivet details around on the kit, but nice to have those on there that you can just cut off carefully with a knife and just glue there onto the kit. So I might end up using those. Another cool thing to point out is that these do pretty much seem to be in scale with like the Dragon Ball Mecha Collection model kits. If you guys remember, like a few years back, Bandai was coming out with these really cool kits that are very similar, just kind of in like the construction style. Obviously also going to need a lot of paint on those, but they all seem to be pretty much in scale. So if you wanted to make a diorama, or at least just like a display with all of these together, they would all match up in scale, it would seem. So that's really awesome. So anyway, guys, not too much else to show for the kit at the moment. This is sort of like a work in progress review, as I am planning on working on this some more. So stay tuned for some more updates on this in the future. I'm basically just going to plan on just hand painting it. I thought about airbrushing this, or maybe doing like a combination of airbrushing and hand painting. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I'm thinking probably just hand painting the entire thing is going to be the best bet for me. But because the way the kit is designed, you don't need to glue anything, so it would be pretty simple to airbrush the kit if you wanted to, if you didn't want to go the route of hand painting it. Of course, Bandai's pretty good at designing their kits to be all snap fit and easy to assemble and disassemble, so that's definitely helpful if you're planning on airbrushing. But awesome kit, definitely check it out, guys, if you haven't. I know it's been a little bit since its release, and it's probably getting like increasingly harder to find now that I don't think that it's been reprinted since its initial run. But if you guys can find one, it's definitely a really cool kit, especially if you're an Akira Toriyama fan. Then it's definitely one that you might want to have for your collection, even if you don't really have any connection with Sandland as like a game. Like for me personally, I've never played the game at all, but just I'm a big fan of Toriyama-san's artwork and art style, and it's just really cool to have this as a model kit. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you want to check out some more kits from Bandai, you can check out the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. We've got all sorts of great stuff on there, including paints and tools and supplies, so check all that out. And as always, guys, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like while you're here, making sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss any future updates on this kit and everything else here on the channel. I greatly appreciate all your guys' support. Thank you so much. Until next time, hope y'all are having a great day. See y'all later. Bye, guys.